points, but he missed 11 of 18 shots. Austin Reeves missed 9 of 14. The Clippers are at Denver tonight. Denver guard Russell Westbrook had 26 points last night in the Nuggets' home loss to Boston. Westbrook would still look good in a Clippers uniform. UCLA's women's basketball team, number 1 in the country for 7 weeks, cruised to an 83-49 win at Purdue. 17 points and 7 rebounds for Lauren Betts. The NFL started the season with 6 black head coaches. That number is down to 4. The Las Vegas Raiders fired Antonio Pierce Tuesday after a 4-13 finish in his first season. New England's Gerard Mayo was also fired after his first season. The Patriots finished 4-13. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Somebody bring out the confetti, baby!
Starting Monday, January 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 has a new midday lineup.
I'm excited.
Are you ready for Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornell West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, and E. Quarterly Corte back-to-back?
Oh, my God.
Are you really ready for all this smoke?
I'm ready, brother.
Yes, we still have Dominique DePrima in the mornings and Zoe Williams in the evenings, but middays just got lit on KBLA Talk 1580.
We on fire.
All across America, people are talking about our new midday lineup. Starting Monday, January 6th, our KBLA 1580 app downloads are on fire because everybody's going to be tuning in.
Yes, I love you guys. You are the bomb.
Now would be a good time to hit up SMB at KBLA1580.com if you want folks to hear about your business or brand. That's SMB at KBLA1580.com. It's going up in 2025 on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's going up.
That's what I want.
Prince Rogers Nelson on Tavis Smiley. I'll tell you why I'm playing that in just a second. Let that ride, Miles. Does the name Dean Phillips ring a bell? Dean Phillips, the former 3-term congressman from Minnesota, actually mounted a primary campaign against Joe Biden long before he stood down and handed the baton to Kamala Harris. Turns out, as we all know, for better or for worse, Dean Phillips was right about Joe Biden, but he finds it awfully unsatisfying. Those are his words, awfully unsatisfying. And he remains deeply disappointed with his fellow Democrats. I am delighted to have Dean Phillips live in studio. There's a whole backstory to why he's here. It connects to the fires that we talked about in the first hour. We'll talk about that a bit more. But while we're playing Prince, you cannot be from Minnesota and not have some Prince stories. So give me 2 or 3 of them. Take it away.
Tavis, I think people know Minnesota for 3 reasons. Ice cold, Prince, and Bob Dylan. So starting with the ice cold.
I just saw the Bob Dylan doc.
How was it?
It's amazing.
It is.
I love it. We'll talk about that
later.
Okay,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So my mother owned, I got to give a shout out to my mom, Dee Dee, who's listening right now in Palm Springs, one of your biggest fans.
Hey, Miss Dee Dee, love you.
I do too, Mom.
Yeah.
And my mom's an amazing woman and owned a store in downtown Minneapolis, late 70s, early 80s, called March 4th. And she sold black jeans and studded belts and rock and roll stuff and outfitted Prince. She and her partner, Bernie Runyon, outfitted Prince, his first couple albums. You know, unknown, living in North Minneapolis, desperate to give away tickets to his early shows. And March 4th would hand out tickets, give him some clothes for his albums. Mm-hmm. And then my mother and father, as I have evidence to show you right here, went to the Purple Rain debut where they filmed him at First Avenue. In I think what is it, 1983, 82?
Yeah, 83.
83.
So I'm looking at, he handed me his phone, Miles. I'm looking at his phone, and he's showing me, you can't see it on the screen, unfortunately, for those watching on YouTube, but I'm looking at you can't see it. You can't see it anyway, Miles.
But you can trust us.
Yeah, you can trust us. He wanted me to show it to the camera, but it's so dark you couldn't see it anyway. But this is the actual ticket.
That's the actual guest list for the filming of Purple Rain at First Avenue. So, and then all these 30-some years later, I represented Paisley Park in Minnesota's 3rd District, where I was a congressman. So, what an amazing man, a sad loss.
So Paisley Park is in Chanhassen.
It's in Chanhassen,
and Chanhassen
Minnesota.
was in your district.
That was in my district. Go figure.
So you were Prince's congressman.
That was the heart of Black Chanhassen in Minnesota. It was all Prince. It was all Prince.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Prince's congressman. That's who we're talking to in this hour, and that's a big deal. How cool is it that your mom had this connection with Prince?
Yeah, she introduced me to. It's a real blessing, because not everybody's lucky to grow up in a household where you're exposed to different people of different backgrounds and colors and races and religions and sexes, and to be a young kid to take the public bus downtown after school, hang out at my mom's store. And just observe these extraordinary people. It was a cool way to grow up in a city. Minneapolis had quite a music scene, as you remember, in that era.
Oh, absolutely.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Prince, of course, and Flight Time Studios, and it was a great place to grow up.
It is fascinating when you think about Minnesota and you think about, as you mentioned, Dylan and Prince.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two of the greats of all time. Yeah. And that they are both from this little small state called Minnesota. That's
you got to see though, Tavis. In Minnesota, for about 8 months of the year, we're kind of shut in.
Absolutely.
It kind of fuels the creativity. So it's probably not that surprising.
Well, I guess so. When you think about it that way, that the cold weather keeps you inside, and so you get creative. But I've been to obviously Paisley Park many times and hung out with Prince there and. Stayed the night there and just all kind of things.
I'll tell you, what people don't know is how many times, of course, people went to his big shows around the world and stadiums and arenas, but he was notorious for just sending out an email Friday afternoon, evening, and say, show up at Paisley Park at midnight.
That's right.
And it didn't matter how much money you had, what you looked like. If you were there and in line in time, you'd sit there, oftentimes for a few hours. Yeah. And he would play into the wee hours for whomever was there. Just an amazing man.
As you know, he built a performance hall in Paisley Park.
Yeah.
There's a stage there where he would just do concerts.
And he's anybody who's listening who has not watched his guitar solo on While My Guitar Gently Weeps at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, probably 20 years ago, with Danny Harrison and Tom Petty and the like. You know the one I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
The finest guitar solo, I think, in rock and roll history. Yeah. I think.
It's a good one.
Check it out.
It is up there. It is up there. So that's his story of having grown up in Minnesota with his mom, Dee Dee, and a wonderful family. I talked to your mom on the phone.
Yes,
once.
you did last time.
We were in Chicago.
She's a big fan. In Chicago at the Democratic Convention.
Absolutely. I talked to her on the phone, said hello to her. So that's the Minnesota backstory. But now he lives in Southern California.
Yeah, just moved.
In Santa Monica.
Oh,
where the fires,
Hollywood Hills.
I'm sorry, where the fires are raging right about now, all around Southern California. So we'll talk about that. If you missed the first hour of the show, we've now posted on all of our socials the commentary that I offered about Rick Caruso, the defeated Rick Caruso, the white male billionaire defeated Rick Caruso, going in on Karen Bass, and essentially in the midst of these fires last night. While people are losing their homes and their property, people are losing their lives. We now know today some fatalities. Rick Caruso is calling into a local TV station and blaming all of this on Karen Bass, and I'm not having it. So if you missed the first hour and you missed my commentary, go to any of our socials and listen to what I had to say. We'll talk about a bit about that with former Congressman Dean Phillips, because he's now living here in Southern California, and he knows a bit about climate change and these issues that Donald Trump and his co-president Elon Musk are now continue to deny. There's a great deal more to talk about. Glad I've got him for the hour. You're listening to Dean Phillips on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
Oh, a new chair?
a chair. Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show. I'm Tavis Smiley, my guest in this hour. Glad to have him in studio. Former Congressman Dean Phillips out of Minnesota, so that makes him a huge Prince fan. Not that one has to be from Minnesota to be a huge Prince fan, because he was my friend, and I was a fan, and I'm not from Minnesota, so that's not the arbiter. But I will tell you that I asked Congressman Phillips, what Prince song should we come back with? I'll let you choose. He chose Controversy. Tell me why, sir.
Well, I think it's a pretty fitting title for just about anything we want to talk about these days, including what's coming up next.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that song, though, for me and my generation growing up in Minneapolis, is like an anthem, you know. And, of course, like so many other Minnesotans, you know, it took Prince leaving the state to become famous everywhere around the world for Minnesota to really embrace him, the same way, strangely enough, with Bob Dylan, you know, because we have this kind of Minnesota nice humility, which I'm going to try to bring to the table here today.
What do you make of the way that they have honored Prince since his untimely passing?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I think people are going to just start discovering what kind of a man he really was. Humility and generosity. His vault, you know, is still filled with thousands.
That's right.
Thousands of songs. Paisley Park, if you haven't been there, it's a beautiful, beautiful visit. I recommend you come in the summer. You know, to see his studio and his home together. You know what's cool about him too. It's not surprising. Most celebrities, when they make it big, they come out to L.A. or they move to New York. You know that he kept his presence in Minnesota because I think we all need a little bit of that humility, and that's why that cold weather 6 months of the year keeps us a little cold.
Yeah. I miss him every day.
I do too.
I used to talk to that guy all
What
the
a shame.
time. Yeah.
What a shame.
Talk to him all the time. I'd call him. He'd call me, as this audience knows, some years of listening to me. We traveled the world together, and since you mentioned it, I am honored to have his guitar that he played, his cymbal guitar, his purple cymbal guitar that he played at halftime of the Super Bowl. He's playing Purple Rain, and it starts raining, as you'll recall, while he's playing Purple Rain.
Yes.
The rain starts coming down. He gifted me that guitar many years ago.
Now, maybe you can play next intermission here. You should play it.
No.
Okay, let me tell you another since you mentioned football and Prince and Purple Rain.
Give it to me.
Speaking of football and this place, the last time the Vikings went to the Super Bowl was right here, Pasadena, 1977. We played the Raiders. My father took me to the game. I was 8 years old.
Right.
And after, of course, the Vikings lose because that's what we do. And one of my dad's dear friends was Alan Page.
Wow.
Played for the Purple People Eater,
who
now
became a judge.
And a remarkable Supreme Court Justice in Minnesota. An extraordinary man.
Love that guy, yeah.
And my dad turns to me after the game. He says, "Look, Dean, we're going back to the hotel with Alan and his wife, Diane. He just lost the Super Bowl, so you might want to just be quiet."
Yeah.
Be quiet.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, Dad." So we get in the car. Alan gets in the car a few moments later, turns to me, smiles, and says, "What do you think of your first Super Bowl, Dean?" And I just looked at his face, and I didn't say a word. I looked right in his eyes. And my father, the only time in his life, my dad elbows me. And he says, "Dean, Mr. Page is speaking to you." And I said, "Dad, you told me not to say anything." And I kid you not, Tavis, to this day, when Justice Page sees me, he always will smile and say, "It's okay, Dean, you can talk."
Yeah.
You can talk.
That's funny.
40 years later.
I've only met him one time, and it was quite brief, but I've always been a huge fan of his because it speaks to the best of what athletes can become.
Indeed.
What they can do post their playing years. And with all due respect, there's so many athletes in all sport, in all professional sport. When their playing days are over, they're lost. All they've done since they were 5 is to play this game. Their playing days are over. They don't know what to do. But Alan Page is an amazing player for the Minnesota Vikings. This black man, I might add, ends up becoming the Chief Justice of the Minnesota State Supreme Court. It's an amazing story.
And he's written a children's book. He has an extraordinary foundation, the Page Foundation for African American men. I mean, I'm glad we were talking about him because he's another example of an unsung hero.
Yeah.
We're not elevating the great stories and the successes and the athletes doing the right thing. We so focus on the negative or the rule breakers or those that disappoint us. And he is a remarkable gift to the country.
Yeah, I'm thinking now of that person who once said that LeBron James should just shut up and dribble. Remember that?
Yeah,
just shut up and dribble.
Exactly. Just the opposite.
Exactly. As if these brothers have nothing to say or do. Alan Page puts all that to rest.
And a rare athlete who, rather than abandon, his community,
That's right.
once he becomes successful, recognizes that responsibility to pay it forward. All of us.
Yeah. So you have been in Minnesota all these years, and now that you are no longer in Congress, we'll get to the primarying of Joe Biden in this hour, I promise. But you have now decided to move to Southern California, and we welcome you with a bunch of fires.
It's a little bit of a warm welcome.
Yeah.
I mean that. I don't mean to be joking. I got to tell you, it's a stark reminder. We in Minnesota, we complain about the winters and the blizzards. And I'll tell you, coming here this week and feeling the pain of so many neighbors all around, and I know it's going to get worse today, is a real reminder of the humility relative to Mother Nature and our responsibility to do better. Because we were ill-prepared, I think it's fair to say. And there's a lot of sadness in this community today, and my heart goes out to those who are suffering and evacuating, and it's just painful.
We'll unpack that term, that phrase, ill-prepared, here in just a second. But again, for those who may have missed the first hour, momentarily, if not already, you will find on all of my socials the commentary I offered to start today's program, where I just had to, I couldn't take it. And I let Rick Caruso have a piece of my mind. But I think that the worst time to play politics is when people are losing their property, losing their lives, losing their homes. And these fires, as you said, there are 4 of them now. They're all burning out of control. When I went on the air an hour and a half ago, there was 0 containment. I'm checking now. There is still 0 containment.
That's horrifying.
And so this is going to be an ordeal for Southern California for months to come, maybe even years to come. And yet people are not above playing politics with it. Elon Musk, after Rick Caruso calls into this TV station here in L.A., and blames the fire essentially on Karen Bass, as if somehow she controlled that. If she knew it was going to come before she took off to go to Ghana, and now they're playing that trope that she's in. The black mayor is in Africa, in Ghana, while L.A. is burning, as if she knew, as if she controls the wind and the rain. It's just again the worst kind of politics. Elon Musk then chimes in, calls her a horrible mayor, and blames Obama for helping to defeat Rick Caruso. I mean, you've been at this for a while as a politician. What do you make of? I'm not asking you to offer commentary as I did. I'm just asking you a broader question about people who play these kinds of political games, Musk, Trump, Caruso, in moments like these where it's clear that they've been denying the science all along anyway.
Tavis, the only word is shameful, and that's exactly why I ran for Congress.
I used that word in the first hour. Well, sick and shameful.
It's sick and shameful. You know, we live in this culture where everybody's a Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
And the worst is in politics. You know, with Mr. Caruso, Mr. Musk, if they felt this way about ill preparedness in L.A. or wherever it is, you know, how about saying that last week?
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
This notion of going on the airwaves when people are suffering to blame others is nonsensical. By the way, I served with Karen Bass in the U.S. Congress. She was the chair of the Middle East Subcommittee. I served on her committee. And she's a woman of competence and decency and integrity. And we all know where these fires are burning, by the way, are not necessarily even her jurisdiction, let alone her responsibility to invest in the preparedness. And with all that said, is there some truth to the argument that we as a country, as governments, as leaders in communities have more of an obligation to be prepared and invest resources in keeping people safe instead of complaining when they're not? Yes, of course we do. But I think what he did is not just inappropriate, but actually dangerous and wrong.
I should just unpack just a bit more for those listening around the country. The distinction that Congressman Phillips just made between city and county. In L.A., there are two different jurisdictions, obviously. Karen Bass, as mayor of the city of L.A., has no control over the county. Many of these fires are burning, in fact, in the county. But that didn't stop Rick Caruso from acting like Karen Bass is responsible for all of this. He didn't call the names of any of the county supervisors. There are 5 of them. They happen to all be women as well. But he didn't call any of their names, but he clearly targeted and zeroed in on Karen Bass in his critique of her leadership or lack thereof. So it's ugly. And again, it's the worst kind of politics. I digress on that for now. I'm sure I have more to say about that tomorrow as this story continues to develop. But as I've been saying for a couple months now, since November 5th to be exact, just as there is a Trump 2.0, there must be resistance 2.0. If there's a Trump 2.0, there must be resistance 2.0. And I'm not going to sit in this chair for the next 4 years and let people behave or misbehave in these kinds of ways and not call them on the carpet when they need to be called on the carpet. And so clearly, Rick Caruso has put a target on Karen Bass's back. And here's the real challenge, Dean, and you've seen this as well. I said earlier that I know politicians, speaking of Minnesota, I know politicians around the country, certainly back east, where it snows routinely this time of the year. I know politicians who've lost their jobs for not removing the snow fast enough. You know of what I speak. They get voted out because they didn't remove the snow fast. People don't forget these things. Voters have long memories. And voters are always, sadly, looking for somebody to blame. That may be one of the reasons why Kamala Harris lost this race. We'll come to that in a second here. But people always want somebody to blame. So if you can get taken out for not removing the snow fast enough, when people lose their homes and their businesses and some people lose their lives, Rick Caruso is going to play the worst kind of politics with this. And Karen Bass, I hate to say, is going to take it on the chin for a minute.
She will, but this is also an opportunity for her to shine, to bring the community together, to ensure that in the future we perhaps are better prepared as, in this case, a state and a county. And I know her well enough to know that she will persevere. And I think at the end of the day, you got to walk through some rain to get to the rainbow. And she's going to walk through some rain, but I have faith in her leadership. But it's also an opportunity for a call to action to everybody listening, that we all have a role to play here. We can't just entrust individuals to look after us. This is America, and we all have a burden of responsibility. If there are issues important to us, stand up and articulate them. If you feel strongly about something, run for office. Whether it's Rick Caruso, whether it's Karen Bass, whether it's me, anybody listening, stop the complaining and get to work by actually serving. And I think if we did a little bit more of that and spent a little less time critiquing and criticizing one another, Imagine what's possible.
I am not in any way demeaning you. It's not a derogatory statement about you. But to your point about run for office, I think you're right. I think we need to have more people who consider what I call public service.
Indeed.
Not being a politician.
No.
Public service. Yeah, exactly. Different.
By the way, public service is being a teacher.
That's right.
That's being a nurse.
That's
it's being
right.
a firefighter.
That's
it's being a police officer. And that's public service. And I think we have to inspire a generation of young people all around the country to value that and reward that. And if anything, demand it. Demand it.
Yeah. Many people, though, to your point, see politics these days, forgive me, as a cesspool, number one, and ask themselves, why would I want to do that? Particularly given that it's not just a cesspool, but all the money that one pays to get into the cesspool. It's kind of funny when you think about it. It's the cesspool, and people will spend millions of their own dollars to jump in that cesspool. Our politics are just so... I'm trying to find the right word. You take my point.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
why would anybody want to do that these days?
There are a lot of words I'd like to employ right now, but not on the public airwaves.
There you go.
But the irony of actually paying for the privilege of jumping into the cesspool is all you need to know about oftentimes the caliber of people doing it.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm glad you bring that up because it is the money in politics that is the corrupting element. It's also what precludes so many great people from even giving it a shot.
That's right.
And as I contemplate, you and I spoke about this a little bit at the convention. I'm contemplating whether our country needs competition for the two major parties because money has taken over everything, everybody. And I'd love to see an American political party that is endowed with a significant corpus, meaning investment from Americans, from those of means, to build an account, if you will, and then use those dollars to support candidates of principle who then don't have to fundraise. I can't imagine being a person of great talent in this country who is told if you want to run for Congress, you got to go raise $10 million. I mean, come on. Do you know how many people that precludes, and you know the kind of people that can do it? They tend to be the same types. And I think that's a big problem, and we should recognize those barriers to entry are part of this system to separate rather than integrate and encourage. And I think that's something we should be talking a whole lot more about, the segregation of politics.
There are two things I believe, and I don't mean to, again, denigrate or disrespect anybody serving in Congress right now, but I do not believe that the 535 people in Washington right now represent the best of what we can send to Washington. I don't believe they represent the best. I don't mean certain individuals who are doing great work. I'm just saying, to the point that Dean Phillips just made, many of our better angels don't want to get in this because they can't afford it. It's ugly. It's nasty. It's vindictive. It's just vicious. And so I don't believe that the 535 people in the House and Senate necessarily are the best that we could send to Washington, number one. But I also know and believe that we can't get those persons out because gerrymandering, to my mind, is a threat to our very democracy. Put a pin in that for the moment, but I believe that. We'll let Dean Phillips respond to that. We'll get to why he chose to primary Joe Biden, what he makes of the fact that he was right, what he then makes of the fact that Biden passes the baton, Kamala loses, and what he makes of Democrats now. You heard him say a moment ago, maybe we need a third party. So I'm curious to probe what is in the mind of former Congressman Dean Phillips out of Minnesota, now living in Southern California. Honored to have him in studio. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. 2 male stowaways were found dead in the landing gear of a JetBlue plane from JFK to Fort Lauderdale. The plane had stopped in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Jamaica. Authorities haven't released details or identities. President-elect Trump hasn't ruled out using military or economic force to gain control of Greenland or the Panama Canal. He threatened tariffs on Denmark if they don't cooperate with his Greenland bid. William Pope, a felony defendant from the January 6th Capitol attack, is allowed to attend Trump's inauguration despite a travel ban. A judge permitted his visit from January 19th to the 21st against DOJ objections, citing community danger. And CVS Pharmacy is rolling out new innovative technology that gives trustworthy customers the power to unlock inventory themselves. They can simply use the CVS mobile app on their phone to unlock an item. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Del Taco's new Chipotle Chicken Burrito and Bean Rice and Cheese Burrito, packed with flavor, made with fresh ingredients, and found on Del's Real Deals menu. You heard that right. These burritos on a value meal with everything under $3. Look at Del Taco, hooking us up.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers' bad shooting Tuesday night led to a blowout loss in Dallas. The Mavericks didn't have Kyrie Irving or Luka Doncic and still beat the Lakers by 21. Anthony Davis led the Lakers with 21 points, but he missed 11 of 18 shots. Austin Reeves missed 9 of 14. The Clippers are at Denver tonight. Denver guard Russell Westbrook had 26 points last night in the Nuggets' home loss to Boston. Westbrook would still look good in a Clippers uniform. UCLA's women's basketball team, number 1 in the country for 7 weeks, cruised to an 83-49 win at Purdue. 17 points and 7 rebounds for Lauren Betts. The NFL started the season with 6 black head coaches. That number is down to 4. The Las Vegas Raiders fired Antonio Pierce Tuesday after a 4-13 finish in his first season. New England's Gerard Mayo was also fired after his first season. The Patriots finished 4-13. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Somebody's been praying.
thanks to the generous support of the KBLA Talk 1580 delegation, we were able to donate 545 pounds of coats and blankets to the LA mission this winter season.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
The LA mission expressed its deep gratitude for our gift all over social media, but we wish to thank them and all the other service providers who look out daily for the less fortunate in our community, finding our happy by being helpful.
Hallelujah.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, where we do more than just talk.
Somebody's been praying for me.
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
All right, I started with Private Joy. Dean Phillips chose Controversy. I'll let Miles, our board op, choose this one. It's a good one.
Now we're going to wait to hear what you choose next.
Yeah. We may get one more in. We're playing Prince in this hour. Any excuse to play Prince is good for me. It just so happens that my guest in this hour, former Congressman Dean Phillips, is from Minnesota and represented Chanhassen, which is where Paisley Park is erected and housed. So whenever you go to Minnesota to visit Paisley Park, you are in the district that Dean Phillips used to represent. He is now retired, has moved to the Southern California, and I'm delighted to have him in studio. We saw each other last in Chicago at the DNC. And we had a chance to talk a little bit then, but I want to talk a little bit more now because now we've got some perspective. I saw him before Election Day. It's my first time seeing him post-Election Day. So let me just jump in and make the most of this. By the way, he was just showing me some pictures. Was that Dirty Mind?
Yeah, Dirty Mind.
Yeah. Your mom?
Yeah, my mom owned a store in downtown Minneapolis called March 4th, and it outfitted a lot of the musicians in Minneapolis of the day, including Prince. A couple of his first albums, he would come in very quiet, very humble, and my mom and her partner Bernie Runyon would help him out and choose some clothes, and a couple of them appeared on those record albums. Yeah, quite a legacy.
Yeah, Dee Dee. His mom's name is Dee
Dee.
And she's listing in Palm Springs right now. So let me just jump right in and make the most of this last half hour that we have here. Tell me why you chose, when you did, to primary Joe Biden. The last time that it really happened, as you recall, Jimmy Carter, who the state funeral happens tomorrow. We'll talk about Jimmy Carter in a second here. Chris Matthews coming up in our next hour, who was Jimmy Carter's speechwriter. But Ted Kennedy primaries Jimmy Carter. It got ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Carter survived it, but then Reagan took him out. So primarying a sitting president is not a typical thing, and yet you did it. Tell me why.
Well, let's go backwards before I get to that point. And that's the morning after the 2016 election. Donald Trump is elected, shocking many of us. And I'll tell you, Tavis, I woke up to the sound of my youngest daughter, Pia, who was 16 at that time, crying in her bedroom. And she had just overcome Hodgkin's lymphoma. She's a gay woman. I didn't know that at the time. But I saw fear in the eyes of my very privileged daughter that really jarred me as a parent. And I sat at the breakfast table that morning. We FaceTimed her sister, who was away at school, and I promised my daughters I would do something. It just felt like that moment where no more complaining, no more sitting on the sidelines. This is real, and we got to participate. So I decided to run for Congress and flipped a district that had not elected a Democrat in 60 years, since 1958. And it was a difficult but joyful journey. That's what got me to do it, to resist Donald Trump. So I serve in Congress. I'm serving, of course, 2 terms. And my mission was to restore decency, respect, provide opportunity to everyone. And when I saw Donald Trump essentially walking right back to the White House, Democrats allowing that to happen, when I saw President Biden, a man who I admire deeply, but I had been with him enough, I'd seen him enough to know Now, this is a man who could be decent but not able to serve another 4 years, and particularly the numbers at that time, Tavis, I'm talking about a year and a half ago, lowest approval numbers in history. The head-to-head numbers, he was losing in the battleground states. And it was clear as the sky is usually blue that he was going to lose. And I had felt at that time, up until that moment, that my party, the Democratic Party, was a party of courage and truth. And we were the party ostensibly trying to save democracy. So how in our right minds could we ignore the obvious? Forget whether he was losing a step or was cognitively in decline. He was going to lose. And we were letting it happen. And I encouraged publicly and privately others to jump in the race. I encouraged Kamala Harris publicly, jump in, let's have a primary. Governor Newsom, Governor Whitmer, Pritzker, whoever it is that's ready to have a competitive primary, let voters decide who's better positioned. And my goodness, nobody would, Tavis. They were scared because they knew if they were to primary an incumbent, just as you mentioned Ted Kennedy, it gets ugly. And most importantly, you'll lose your chance probably in the future because the Democratic Party will punish you.
That's right.
So it came down to me. I was not well known, didn't have the resources to put together the kind of campaign you'd really need to win. But I felt that it was the only way to fulfill my obligation both to my daughters, to myself, and to my country, which was to be honest. And I regret that I wasn't able to move the needle more then, because I do believe had we been able to encourage the president to step aside a year ago, we would have had a very different outcome this year. And that's something I got to live with the rest of my life. But I'm not going to be quiet now just because that chapter is done. We've got to reinstall courage, Tavis, and that's why I did it.
Is that Joe Biden's fault for not stepping aside, or the Democratic Party apparatus's fault for going along until they didn't?
Both.
Yeah.
Look at it. At the end of the day, he made a terrible decision for our country. And the consequences are yet to play out, and he's got to live with that the rest of his life. He should have retired. He indicated to most of this country, including members of Congress, that he would serve one term and then pass the baton. He said it. He articulated that. But the Democratic Party, the beauty of the United States is there is no authoritarian. There is no dictator. That's why we have parties and possibilities and shared power, so that should one fail, you've got alternatives. And that's where the Democratic Party, I think, really went wrong. Lacked the courage to be honest, lacked the principle to do what's right. And I think we got to throw away this conventional wisdom. Just because someone is in office does not make them most able to win and best able to serve, period. And here's the last part. If we had had a competitive primary, and let's say Biden had even won the primary, it denied the opportunity to expose the bench of prominent Americans who are going to be the next generation Democrats, the Wes Moores of the world, right? The Pete Buttigieg, whoever it might be. We denied that stage and ceded not just the election, but broad swaths of the country to the Republican Party that is now positioned to represent working class America. So a real dereliction of duty, a failure of leadership both by the president and Democratic power brokers. And so they own it. They got to own it.
So that's why he ran. So now we've got that covered. I got more questions because he turned out to be right. Joe Biden ultimately did stand down, as we all know, passed the baton to Kamala Harris. And we'll pick up the story there when we come forward with Dean Phillips on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Somebody bring out the confetti, man!
Starting Monday, January 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 has a new midday lineup.
I'm excited.
Are you ready for Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornel West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, and E. Quarterly Corte back-to-back?
Oh, my God.
Are you really ready for all this smoke?
I'm ready, brother.
Yes, we still have Dominique DePrima in the mornings and Zoe Williams in the evenings, but middays just got lit on KBLA Talk 1580.
We on fire.
All across America, people are talking about our new midday lineup. Starting Monday, January 6th, our KBLA 1580 app downloads are on fire because everybody's going to be tuning in.
Yes, I love you guys. You are the bomb.
Now would be a good time to hit up SMB at KBLA1580.com if you want folks to hear about your business or brand. That's SMB at KBLA1580.com. It's going up in 2025 on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's going up. That's what I want.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with former Congressman Dean Phillips out of Minnesota, now living here in Southern California. Honored to have him in studio. My time is getting tight. So you decided to run for all the reasons you articulated earlier. Joe Biden eventually gets the point, as I've said many times. I feel bad for him because he didn't voluntarily leave the stage. He got pushed off the stage, but he passed the baton to Kamala Harris. What did you make of that decision?
So look, Tavis, I had called on competent next generation Democrats to jump in the race and compete, including Vice President Harris, but yet I do believe that it was a mistake for him to bow out and immediately endorse, because I think it actually penalized her. She and the Democratic Party, and I think ultimately the country, would have been better served by a competition. You know, America is predicated on elections, not C-elections, and I think. And by the way, I think there might be some reporting that would indicate that Biden maybe did that as a little bit of a jab at Obama. I think there's some truth to that, is the reality.
Yeah. He still ain't feeling Barack Obama or Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
Still.
Yeah, that might probably never. So with that said, I think it was actually punitive, and I think it would have been better for Vice President Harris to go through some type of even if it was 4 town halls with a couple other candidates on the stage, to demonstrate to the country, I earned it. Here's who I am. Here's my mission, my mandate. So I think in a way it was actually a mistake. I do believe she still would have become the nominee. She would have become a stronger nominee. When you last spoke with me in IU, we were excited. That Democratic convention felt spectacular. It would have been a funeral had it been Biden. We were not able to translate that to electoral success. $1.5 billion spent, God knows how. And I think Biden actually did her a disservice, but his worst disservice was not empowering her during his presidency with mandates and projects that she could introduce herself to the country as an able leader. Instead, he gave her the stuff that was impossible. And that's a failure, I think, of his leadership as well.
So we know how this all turned out. What are your issues as we sit here now with the Democratic Party?
Well, my issues with the Democratic Party is I feel it's leaderless. Our mission is unclear. Our principles, I think, in question. Most Americans cannot articulate what we stand for. The Republican Party has very ably taken many of those core legs of the Democratic stool, including representing working-class America. The diversity of the Trump coalition would shock people. I'll tell you, Tavis, I went to one of his rallies in New Hampshire when I was campaigning myself in the primary. I was dumbfounded by the array of races and religions and ages and political perspectives lining up to see Donald Trump. So this notion, I think Democrats took it for granted for a long time. And until we are willing to reintegrate the entire country, reinvite the entire country, especially rural America, we can stand on principle, but we are not going to stand on success. And my contention is we got to win. And we got to find winners, and we got to find people willing to employ strategies to do so and not be afraid to speak the truth to get there.
The Democratic Party has a reckoning that they are facing are facing now, trying to pick a new party head, party leader, party chair, a reckoning they're facing now and will face even more aggressively when Joe Biden leaves the White House and there is no titular head of the Democratic Party. I'll ask Dean Phillips when we come forward in our remaining moments with him what he thinks that looks like over the next 4 years, certainly next 2 years between now and the midterms. Can they get back, as James Brown would say, we've been talking about Prince all hour, James Brown would say, can they get on the good foot? Can they get on the good foot between now and the midterms? And you can't be from Minnesota and not know Walter Mondale, speaking of presidential candidates. And Walter Mondale, of course, knew Jimmy Carter. And I suspect there's probably another story that Dean Phillips has to tell me that he knows or has heard about Jimmy Carter, who will have his state funeral tomorrow in Washington, D.C. So our remaining moments with Dean Phillips when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
He's a paradigm pioneer. are the top-rated African-American talk show hosts in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Dean Phillips for the next 4 minutes. I got questions coming from everywhere, from the audience. Mr. Phillips, are you running for DNC chair?
No.
Mr. Phillips, if the entire ticket, both Biden and Harris, had stepped aside and different candidates had emerged, perhaps things would have turned out differently. Do you believe that Kamala Harris as well would have been willing to step aside?
Answer to the first question, yes, I think it would have turned out differently. Answer to the second question, no, I don't think that she would have been willing to step aside.
Third question, at this moment, do you see anything that suggests to you that the American public is ready for a serious third party?
Yes. And I say this as a proud Democrat, but the answer is yes. I've never in my life seen more demand for something that somehow is failing to be produced. It is the only category in American consumption in which we limit the offerings to essentially two products. Imagine if it was still just Coke and Pepsi on the shelves. And when Americans demand something, there should at least have the option to choose it. I'm just afraid that we have vacated the majority of center-left and center-right Americans who do swing elections, who are now independents, and they are seeking a principled, common-sense party to represent them. I want to help affect change in the Democratic Party. If not, yes, I think we should inspire competition to push this country together.
We're pushing forward to hour 3 in tribute to Jimmy Carter. We'll start with former MSNBC host and Carter speechwriter in the White House, Chris Matthews. I close by asking, since you told me so many great Prince stories, whether or not you have a great Jimmy Carter story for me.
I have a great Jimmy Carter story. So Walter Mondale, former Vice President Walter Mondale under Jimmy Carter, we called him Fritz in Minnesota, a gentleman, someone that I wish, he and Hubert Humphrey had a profound role. Maybe next time we're together we'll tell some stories, but when I first ran for Congress in 2018, Fritz Mondale was very helpful and an icon to me in Minnesota. And we were talking about Jimmy Carter, and he said, I got to tell you, the only time I ever heard Jimmy Carter swear was on Inauguration Day. And here we are coming up on January 20th, which is my birthday, by the way.
Happy early birthday.
Hey, thank you. And he said they went to the inauguration. Carter makes his speech. They get in the limousine to go to the White House for the first time as the president, newly elected, installed president and vice president. They enter the White House. The Marine Guard welcomes them. And when they enter the White House, they walk down a hallway filled with photos and portraits of their predecessors, American presidents. And Jimmy Carter's leading and walks down the hall. He stops, looks at the wall, turns to Fritz Mondale, and says, using the F word, "Can you effing believe this?" And they had a moment where these guys could have been 12 years old saying, "Oh, my God, we are now the president and vice president of the United States of America." And I got to tell you, Tavis, maybe a nice way to wrap it up, it's that kind of humility, and decency, humanity, that we all got to put a little bit back into our lives.
I don't know that Chris Matthews can top that story. We will see when we come forward in our third and final hour. But for now, let me thank former Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips for a great conversation. I've enjoyed this immensely. He's now here in Southern California, so that's my way of saying to him, you're going to get called a lot more frequently to share thoughts on the issues of the day. But what an honor to have you here in studio. Welcome to Southern California.
Thank you.
Let's get these fires out as quickly as we can, save lives. But until I see you again, have an amazing year and happy early birthday.
Hey, thank you. Keep the faith, everybody.
I love that. Keep the faith. More Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BI at Blue Plane from JFK to Fort Lauderdale. The plane had stopped in Salt Lake City, Utah and Jamaica. Authorities haven't released details or identities.